Alrighty, folks, we're going to have a conversation with Casey from Brick by Brick and really talk about why it was so important for us to kind of stay small, stay in control. Now, this is obviously in response to some unfortunate news in the real estate industry. Brandon Turner has recently lost $15 million in investor capital. According to another post he put out, he has another $30 million in trouble. So ouch. And I'm hearing other big names, yet not yet confirmed, are in similar boats. On top of that, Ken McElroy says there's 1,000 commercial or multifamily deals in Dallas, Texas alone that are on watch lists. So Casey, you and I, either consciously or not, tried to stay small, try to stay in control. I'm curious, why didn't you get enamored with, raising other people's capital, going after bigger units? What was it that said, no, that's not for me?
Well, I wish I could say it was the big risk, but really, I didn't want to do all the work that was required. A lot of people, they get into real estate and they think, oh, I'm going to be this big real estate investor and I'm going to quit my day job and I'm going to be a real estate investor. And I'm just like, I really invested in real estate to not have to work. I personally did not want real estate to be a full-time job. And yes, all of those things that Brandon Turner, those big commercial people and the syndications and buying apartment complexes and finding investors, it's high risk, 100%. And two, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It could be a full-time job. It is, I'm not sure how people can keep a 40-hour plus a week job and solicit and find deals and know what you're talking about. That sort of stuff isn't for newbies. Those sorts of things are things that you learn as you grow up into the real estate industry and you are learning more and more and you're taking bigger and bigger risks. Eventually, I suppose you get to that level where you're like, shoot, I know so much, I can do this. And you be that person, you be that Brandon Turner. But for me, I watched my parents, work regular W-2 jobs. My mom was a nurse. My dad was an entrepreneur, always trying to make it throughout his whole life. And I watched them spend everything that they had. And I watched them never really save or invest for the future. And personally, I didn't want to take the risk that I would lose it all. I don't want to take the risk. And so I wanted to play it safe. I wanted to make sure that every money that I put into something was going to work. And that means 30-year fixed debt. That means assets that I can control. That means me being in charge. And when you take on big deals like that, yeah, sure, Brandon Turner, messed up or whatever. But you know what? That is to be expected. And things like this. You think people like him are going to have 100% amazing A+ run? That's impossible. People fail their way to the top. They fail their way up. There are mistakes. There are issues being made. And I saw a lot of comments on that Instagram post, I saw the Instagram post of his and people were talking some trash. And then some people were like, oh, good job for coming clean and saying all these things. And, I don't know how any of this is going to affect him, but I just think it's part of the game, but it wasn't a part of the game that I wanted to do. I don't want to take the risk and I didn't want to do the work. A lot of work.
Well, I love that honesty. I've kind of had two evolutions with raising capital. Let's be clear. I have borrowed millions of dollars from people, but it's always been debt. So it was very clear if I didn't pay, they'd take the property. And I always stood on that. And frankly, every deal I did, they wanted me not to pay them, right? Because I got stuff 40, 50% below value. So it was that kind of deal and I felt good about it. But hey, I could get hit by a bus, whatever happens. So my investors were always, in a good position, in my opinion. I never wanted to raise equity. Frankly, I was selfish. I didn't want to share my equity with folks. We were on a path that was doing okay for us. It was going to get us to the finish line. And like you said, I didn't want the risk or to work that hard. But I have to admit, and it's actually on my channel, I think it was 2021, maybe, right before the Fed came out. I actually paid. I paid to go to a syndication event, like how to do it and all of that stuff. And it was such a big deal for us. Olivia came as well, right? So her and I were sitting in the room and we paid to be there. And it wasn't free. It wasn't comped. We paid. And by the end of the first afternoon, it was a 2-day event. Olivia and I go off to have lunch somewhere. And we both look at each other going, this is not for us. right? All the paperwork, all of this stuff, just all of it was like, none of that feels fun. And at this point, she'd been retired probably 7 years. I'd been retired 3 years. And we just didn't want any of that. The work, the stress, all of it. But I think the biggest thing is we didn't have our egos wrapped up in this. I think a lot of people, Brandon Turner and many others, he's not the first and won't be the last. This is going to be catastrophic. Yeah. I think a lot of them got wrapped up in the ego of it. They had big social media presence. They could raise money easy. Mm-hmm. I bet you there were times he and others would put out a post and it would raise millions of dollars.
From one post.
Yeah, from one post. And they thought their shit didn't stink. And their ego was getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the minute. And then what happens is they hire teams. And then those teams have overhead. And then they've got to feed the machine to pay for the overhead. And pretty soon you go from doing great deals to okay deals. And then you're doing deals that barely pencil, but you execute some, Excel kung fu and you make it look okay. And then the market smashes you because you are not Warren Buffett. You are not Sam Zell. You are some guy with a social media presence who locked into bigger pockets at the right time, and you are well known. And now it's time to pay up.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for him and all that, but I guess
I don't feel bad for him at all. I feel bad for his investors.
Right. For the investors. Yes. For the investors and the deal and all of that. But, I guess when you get that big and you have that much money, stuff happens. You don't get that big without taking risks is what I'm saying.
Totally agree.
So and the risk can't always pan out. Now, I don't know much about those types of deals and all that, or could he have prevented it, or did he make mistakes because, whatever. I don't know the situation really, but it just goes to show that giving your money to a well-known person doesn't always mean that it's going to work out.
Thatch Nguyen and I, it's so crazy to think about. He and I were in a green room in SoCal and we were talking about this, and he goes, "Michael, never forget this phrase. The bigger the name, the worse the return."
Yeah, that's funny.
So again, folks, these people out there with flashy social media presence and all of those things, they got to feed. The thing that gets me is, again, if you start hiring people to be your deal source and do all this internal work, you're adding tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in overhead that you have to pay for. And in an environment where deals were not working, the only way to make them work was to get short-term paper, variable rate debt. And that's why I passed on all of them. I am an accredited investor. I have seen more deals than the average bear. And the deals that I saw in 2021 were the worst of the worst. Bad assumptions, right? There were deals done in a 4.5 cap where the operator was saying the plan was to refi at a 4 cap. This is not how the system works. So, I was a net seller in 21. And there's just so many lessons here. And again, as I've said for 2 years now, there were deals done at that time that are money losers, and the investors are just now finding out. I suspect this deal with Brandon Turner was dead the day the deal was done. And now no chance. Overpaid, didn't listen to Jerome Powell saying pain is coming. And, even though he successfully raised NOI by $1 million and did lots of things well, I mean, you just can't go from a 4 cap to a 6.5 cap and think you're going to win. It just doesn't work that way.
No. And hopefully the people that did invest with him, they had the money to lose. And that's one thing that I always keep in mind. Like, okay, if I am going to invest and give someone $100,000 or whatever people gave, do I have that to lose? And if I'm not okay with never seeing it again, and that's every dime that I have, I shouldn't be investing that. So that's kind of a way I think of when you're investing with other people, no matter who they are, it's a risk. And if you cannot afford to lose it, you probably shouldn't invest it with other people. That's my opinion.
The thing that I wonder, and this is all Monday morning quarterback looking back, is if we take the pool of 100, let's just say there's 100 people that invested in this. I am willing to bet 80 to 85 of those 100 invested blindly because Brandon Turner's name was on it.
Oh, for sure.
And now they're out. I suspect, again, using the same number of 185, I suspect 60 of the 85 will never invest in real estate again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's things like that that just make you leave, just exit and say, screw this, I'm out. This was a bad idea. But, really, the bottom line is maybe, right? They wanted easy return, easy investment. Not have to do a lot of work, give someone the money and they do it all.
They invested blindly. They didn't look at the memorandum. They didn't study history.
Or they didn't know how to read the papers that were given to them to know, is this a good deal or not? I'll be honest, I wouldn't really know how to read any of that information. I wouldn't. So it's like, so if I'm not going to give someone a couple of $100,000 because I don't know how to read that, and I'm just going to take their word for on their webinar on explaining why to invest with them or whatever, I'm going to stick with deals that I know that are low risk. And yeah, I've got to do my own work. And yes, I buy the single family properties and I renovate and I put good tenants in and I get 30-year fixed debt because it gives me chills but you know what? I don't want to risk it. I don't know enough. I am not good enough and smart enough in that area to invest in someone else's syndication and give them several $100,000. So guess what? I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to invest in what I know 100% is going to work for me. And I'm willing to risk it. And my level of risk is really low because I know what I'm doing. And so the risk is really low for me. I'm not going to lose my money. It's not, I might go negative that year or whatever from some big expenses, but overall long-term rentals, 30-year fixed debt, it's virtually risk-free. Like it's going to work out for you as long as you hang in there.
Yeah, if you can hold it for a decade, your odds are really, really good. And fixed rate debt being the key. The other thing that you brought up there that I think is really the crux of this conversation, what I want people to take away from this is, I think a lot of people invested in branded and again, other syndicators because they thought it was the easy path, right? It was low stress, checks show up in the mail, mailbox money, and they didn't even think about it. They didn't do any due diligence. They didn't realize that cap rates were so compressed. They only had one way to go is up, not down, right? They didn't do any homework and they trusted, blindly trusted. And what I think this channel and all of my millionaire guests on this channel talk about is it takes work. It takes sacrifice. It takes struggle. It takes daily discipline and buy box and all the stuff that we talk about. But you're investing in yourself. You are keeping control. If you make a mistake and lose money a year because you had an eviction and a nasty remodel like I did on my first unit, my first month, you own that. But now, if you invested 75 grand, I watched a video on YouTube of somebody who put in 75 grand and lost it all. He's like, I should have stayed small. I should have kept doing my own thing. And, it takes work, folks. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. No free lunch.
No free lunch. Well said. Well said. Well, I know you and I keep helping people each and every week. Where can people follow you and look for your advice?
People can find me on YouTube, Brick by Brick Wealth, and also on my website, brickbybrickwealth.com. I'll be honest, I'm not really posting much on the IG because I love YouTube so much. But man, is there a wealth of knowledge there and you can learn so much. So I just really encourage anyone, if they're interested in getting involved with real estate, or they want to learn more, follow any of Michael's millionaire guests and just binge their channels because it is a wealth of information.
I love the fact that we've gotten you off IG and you're on YouTube now. That makes me smile.
I really like YouTube so much more. I'm like, screw, I haven't posted since January, really.
Oh, good for you. We'll keep it rolling. Have fun. Thanks.